Welcome to the 9th episode of Conversations with a Martial Artist. Thanks for listening. Today I'm sitting down with Duane Harper. He's a Brazilian Jiu Jitsu 3rd degree black belt, Chu Sao Lei Wing Chun black belt, and a very experienced practitioner in a variety of martial arts. He's competed, as we talk about, in kickboxing, boxing, MMA, and Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. He won the British Open Championship twice. And he was the Masters UK Black Belt Champion in 2018, and he's had a lot of success as a coach as well, coaching a number of British champions in Jiu-Jitsu and in MMA. Really interesting guy, very detailed background. I hope you enjoy it. Duane, thank you very much for sitting down with me. I much appreciate your time and your time this weekend as well.
Yeah, it's been good.
Wicked camp. We're down here working some Wing Chun stuff, so I thought it would be a good opportunity to have you come on and have a chat through some of your ideas, because you've got some very interesting ideas on it, which I quite like, which we talked about over the weekend, which I think will be cool to share.
Yeah.
But I guess a cool place to start would be if you just run through a bit of your background.
So yeah, I am Duane Harper. I studied Wing Chun under Aire. That was the main thing I did. And then I started studying Jiu Jitsu, Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, initially with Aire. He moved to New Zealand. So we're kind of phantom training with Leo Nagao through the medium of Aire, if you will.
Sure.
And then he moved to New Zealand. So obviously that meant I had to travel and get Leo to come to see me. I had to travel to go see Leo. So I started training with Leo at that point. During them times, that was like early 2000s, I think, somewhere around there. 2008, 2010, sort of around that sort of area. And MMA wasn't very big.
Yeah.
But we were doing Wing Chun, but we were doing training MMA.
Yeah.
So I trained everything kind of at the same time. So as soon as I started training Wing Chun, I was training Wing Chun. I was training Jiu-Jitsu, kickboxing, boxing. Not very much boxing. So yeah, that were it. As soon as I started, I was just full into it straight away. I didn't like go for a week one time and stuff like that. It just, as soon as I started, I went full time in.
Yeah, fair enough. And you primarily have Wing Chun as your base, bar the Jiu-Jitsu. I know there's a part of where you think, but you've kind of got Wing Chun and Jiu-Jitsu, even though you've played with some kickboxing and stuff as well. Fine. And you guys, some of the other guys that were here as well on Alan's team, I guess you were part of that, the fight team. You guys are going out to the MMA competitions pretty early days and making a pretty good name for Wing Chun, to be fair. I
think so. Well, when I'd been doing Wing Chun with a guy called Pedro, a really nice guy, really, we were all right. But it were not the type of thing I wanted to do. Wing Chun, it was nice, but it was that sort of closed shop style Wing Chun. They don't want to see up new, they don't want to no innovation and all that kind of stuff. And I went to a seminar, and Alan was there and some of his guys, and they had tap out gear on. I liked watching UFC.
Yeah.
And I thought, whoa, Wing Chun guys, and they're wearing tap out, how cool. And it turns out they were cool, although I thought they were rude at the time at the thing, because Alan was questioning the guy doing the seminar. I come out late, I come to find out years later that it was right to question him.
Yeah, fair enough.
He was saying was true. But at the time I thought, who's that guy? But when it came to Chi Sao and when it came to any kind of practical maneuvers, those guys just wiped the floor with us.
Yeah.
With everyone else there, because there were different lineages at this thing. And so we went for a meal afterwards, not the Aire guys. Everyone else went for a meal afterwards. And I was saying, whoa, them guys, they smashed us, right? And they were saying, yeah, but they were just using strength. And yeah, but and they were this and they were that. And they were just basically trying to hide the fact that they just had their asses handed to them by superior
making
fighters.
some excuses.
Yeah. You can say whatever you want. You can say his elbows in the wrong place, whatever. But if he's going to batter you, then there are realities in play to that. So I kind of didn't like that. And then I found out that my teacher had previously trained with Alan and then didn't start copying the things that were clearly better than what we were doing. Right. So I didn't like that. So I had to leave Pedro, and then I started training with Alan. But as soon as I got there, on the first day, there were people already training, fighting pro MMA.
Right.
So
Okay.
I wasn't part of the initial guys. That's like Aire, and that's like Neil. They were like the driving force. They were the ones that sort of built the name. I kind of rode along on coattails after behind that. I stood there.
Oh no, I saw your picture in this book. You know, you were there
I
a
was
few
stood at the
times.
back.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's it. While they were doing stuff, I were holding towel, and stuff like that. They were the trailblazers. I came along after all those guys. They were pretty much a thing had already been set by that time.
yeah,
But still, yeah. I mean, so for me to go, what I thought of as Wing Chun training is a lot of people don't see it as Wing Chun training, but like I was saying over the weekend, so I was at a Wing Chun class and I got shown a certain thing. So in my reality, that's Wing Chun,
that's
right?
Wing Chun, yeah.
I can't change that, can I? So if someone says, "Oh, that's not Wing Chun," oh, well, I'm stuck then. I don't know what to call it. I know I didn't make it up. I know someone else did it. I know it practically. My guys fought pro MMA, and they use these things that you're saying aren't Wing Chun, but it just turns into a load of nonsense that I just can't be bothered with anymore.
Yeah.
Like, they can think what they want. They go there, think there, then they're in the little groups, and they don't want. It's not my style anymore.
Yeah, it can get quite bitty with people get very bogged down with you need to show me this in the forms, or this doesn't fit this principle, or this is whatever reason that it's not Wing Chun. But at the end of the day, I do quite like you and Alan, all of Alan's guys, in fact, the approach of actually it's just about fighting, and they still very much stick to all these principles. And I've seen really interesting applications for very Wing Chun things. Granted, they're not only Wing Chun. I mean, my favorite example is the collar tie. Like, you have collar ties in wrestling, Muay Thai. We've got it in Wing Chun as well. It's everywhere. So it's whatever works tends to stick with whatever martial art. And I think people get very bogged down with, no, actually, I learned that in wrestling, so that's wrestling. Whereas you guys, with the approach with Wing Chun, it's quite novel. It's quite progressive for it as well, which is really cool. One thing that you have said, which I quite liked, and I'd love to hear a bit more on your thoughts of, is you were talking about, for you, Wing Chun is grappling.
Yeah.
Which is a bit out there, because a lot of people see Wing Chun as a striking system. I really like it, but yeah.
So, yeah, okay. So, how many moves is in first form?
No, you're testing me. A few.
The people will say there's 108.
Sure.
How many of them are punches?
Yeah,
One.
like one, yeah.
So there's 107 other moves in the first form that aren't punching. What are they then? If you're fighting someone and you're not punching, what are you doing?
Yeah, grappling, I guess.
We start Chi-Cell, what we're doing.
Yeah, you're in contact,
grappling.
yeah.
That is stand-up grappling. The disconnect is, I think, because people in Wing Chun don't fight each other, they don't seem to know what they're doing, because they'll do this and then they'll break into punches. But if there's no bridge, then the preposition is, I'm just going to run forward like this.
Yeah.
So I obviously that's gibberish. That's nonsense. That wouldn't work in reality. So these people obviously haven't tried that. So then to say to someone else, you should go do that in a fight. If someone tries to bite you, you should do that. That's bad advice. That's I don't know. You have a duty of care to tell that people good things, and telling them,
yeah, run it.
Like today, we had someone this big fighting someone this big, and the consensus of Wing Chun is that this person should try to punch this person in the head. There's no stepladder or trampoline. How are they going to do it?
Yeah.
That's just silly. That is just silly. There is that just obviously wouldn't work. So Wing Chun works by controlling. It's control. Chi-Sao is to control someone, to open a space, using grappling to open a space to create a striking opportunity. This is what Chi-Sao is to me. That's how I've understood Wing Chun. So if you say in an MMA fight, somebody like Randy Couture, he was famous for he'd dirty boxing essentially, really tight in the clinch, put you against the fence, put you down, stay stuck to you, smash you. So dirty boxing is Wing Chun.
Yeah, I agree.
That's what I would say. Wing Chun is dirty boxing. You could describe it that way. But if you look at a kickboxing fight, like that's a striking out, or a boxing fight where they very rarely clinch with each other. They're obviously striking, but Wing Chun is connected.
Yeah.
So it is a clinch. So that's grappling. You know, so I mean, we could say you're just playing with words, but I don't know. They're not stood away at striking and disengaging and striking and disengaging. So like I say, if you're fighting someone and you're not punching each other, what are you doing? What is the word that we use for that?
Yeah. I mean, it does make sense when you lay it out like that. You're absolutely right, because it's essentially clinch fighting. That's the specialism of Wing Chun, right?
I would say so, yeah.
And
close quarter combat.
Yeah, and it is quite interesting to hear it that way, because you don't think about it as Everyone goes, oh, there's grappling, and you go judo, wrestling, jiu-jitsu, that kind of thing, and there's striking, and everyone's very much Wing Chun as a striking system. And although I guess it's the idea is, you want to strike them until you win, you have to have a means to deliver that, right? And so I suppose that's why you guys have probably had a lot of success with MMA rather than boxing and kickboxing and things like that. I don't know if the team ever did those kind of matches as well.
Yeah.
Right.
Boxed, bare knuckle boxed. I did kickboxing. Aaron's boxed. My guy Roy, he boxed. I don't know if we had. I can't remember. We've had quite a few kickboxers and stuff like that.
Oh, fantastic!
Because and we if you're a Chu Sao Lee black belt, and someone says, "Oh, there's a boxing match," you should be able to go in there and be able to fight that guy and hold your own. You don't have to obviously beat everyone. That's silly.
Yeah,
but you should be able to go in there and competently apply yourself.
Yeah, so it should be something competitive.
The black belt in Chu Sao Lee Wing Chun off Alanor. If you get put into a kickboxing fight, you should have the tools necessary, I believe, to competently perform under that. I think so, because Wing Chun is a full system of stand up fighting. You know what I mean? Obviously, there's no ground stuff, but the stood up. If someone grabs you, there's stuff to get them off you. If someone's punching you, there's blocks. If there's a gap, there's a punch. You know, there's everything you need. So if you say, "Oh, that guy's doing karate," he's doing taekwondo. You know, like someone throwing punches and kicks at you.
Yeah,
they'll be coming from different angles, and they'll have their own ways of doing it, and this, that, and the other. But essentially, if you just take all the rules away, fighting always looks the same. It's like if you say take Glory, or what used to be K1.
Yeah.
So when that was Muay Thai fighters fighting Kyokushin fighters a lot of the time. And so a lot of them had done well in Muay Thai and Kyokushin fighters. So initially you'd see it and it looked quite Muay Thai. If you looked at it, you'd think, oh, it might be a little bit Muay Thai without a clinch almost.
Yeah, they're both quite square.
In fact, when there were a K1 and it was just Muay Thai fighters versus Kyokushin Kai fighters. That was the whole event, and the Kyokushin Kai guys won as well. And so, and then what was the other guy? Schmidt, super big guy. He won K1 more than anyone. He was a karate guy. But what I'm saying is, if you just say, okay, you can punch, you can kick, up to you. You want to do a spinning crescent kick, up to you. You want to do a little leg kick, up to you. What's happened is, like Glory looks like Glory. That's what happens. Like no one said to the guys, oh, you can't do a spinning back kick. You can't do a flying eagle kick or all like that. Anyone can do any kick they want. Yeah. No one does. Why? Because it don't work in that environment.
Yeah.
or so far, no one's been able to make it that work. And if you've got a system that is currently working, why would you, to someone else you need someone to be able to beat you using a new system for you to be bothered learning their system, right?
Yeah. Otherwise, why would you learn something that is exactly lesser, I suppose?
So what you've boiled down to then is just a form of, if you can punch and kick that person, it really doesn't matter what style you're doing. Like if you took John Jones and only taught him Wing Chun, he'd still be a savage, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
It's not like he'd be rubbish at fighting. And it's just, I don't know. People get lost in words, I think, a lot of the time. But the practical application of what you're trying to do should always be the driving force. And I think in Wing Chun it almost never is.
Yeah. I suppose the other thing with that is there's kind of two schools of thought, because where the Chu Sao Lei guys are very much going, well, I suppose not actually even in general, but you go more sport fighting where you'll be able to compete with other arts and things. A lot of Wing Chun practitioners will say they're just practicing for self-defense and things like that. And where there's elements of, you know, eye gouges and throats and all of this stuff that you typically hear from a lot of lineages. How do you think that kind of plays in against your style?
Well, they're just hiding behind words, aren't they? It's just bullshit. You think John Jones can't fight outside a cage?
Yeah, very true.
It's fucking stupid. It's just people who don't know what they're on about saying stuff. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
Like you try, like if me and you started rolling and or if we had a fight and whatever, we've had an altercation, right? And we start fighting, and I end up getting better of you. And then I think, okay, cool, that guy's beat now, whatever. I walk away, and we have that same situation, and then halfway through, you poke me in the eye. I'm going to stamp on your head.
Yeah.
You are not going to. You are going
Absolutely.
to regret that.
It's going to piss you off.
Yes, you are going to regret that. So, doing these, there is a video. You can find it on YouTube. I'll try and find it. If we put links later on, I'll try and find it, because we had a guy when I first started doing the Chi Sao Open days. We had a guy. This guy come. We were called Tony. We ended up calling him Tony Drama, because he just always caused them. And he did that because there's always this talk about Wing Chun on the ground and this, that, and other. So one of my guys was Chi Sao with him, and I don't know. We do an arm drag. We'll do an arm drag, and we'll put people on the floor. So I feel that's definitive. If we're fighting and I put you on the floor, I've won. I can choose whether to stomp on you or run off. You can't choose anything. So I've won. And he'd put him on the floor, so that was going to be the end of it. But Tony Drama decides to start looking for his eye.
Ah, right.
So my guy just ripped his arm off because he could actually fight on the floor, and he knew what he was doing. So it went really, really, really bad for this guy. You know, he's like fumbling around like this, trying to find his eye. Yeah. But he was the guy on the bottom. What if the guy on top decides to put his fingers in your eye?
Yeah, very true.
It's just a stupid idea. Like if you can't, if you're learning martial arts and you're having to rely on scratching someone's eye, how pathetic are you? Really? And like they say, oh yeah, I'll kick in balls. I was 7 when I learned how to kick someone in balls. I don't need to learn martial arts for that. That's not studying another martial art. Yeah. So you can kick someone in balls and poke them in the eye. Yeah. Really? That's pathetic.
Yeah. I suppose
in my opinion.
No, I'm kind of with you. I mean, there is a lot of weight that's put on the things like, you know, kicking people in the nuts and poking them in the eye for the self-defense world. But I think most of the time it just tends to elicit reactions, and not necessarily ones even in your favor all the time. I'm sure it can be used very effectively, but yeah, I guess.
Yes, no one likes to squint.
No. But I mean, I suppose having a lot of different types of strikes as well is where Wing Chun's quite interesting, because the range that they work at and generating power and things, there's a lot more open palm and things like that. Obviously, when you're putting it into kickboxing, MMA, boxing, that type of thing, and there then becomes restrictions with gloves and rule sets and things like that. How do you find it adapts very much? How much change do you think you have to make?
None.
Okay.
I mean, if we had big gloves on and we're sparring here like this, then it's going to be much easier for you to defend in the middle.
Sure.
Because just being
there's more space.
Yeah. If you had your hands this far apart, it'd probably be pretty difficult to get a shot there. So, you know, you could say, okay, well, the way I punch would be different, but my objective would be to move your hands away from there. By me moving my head forward, you try and hit me. Every time you try and hit me, you're not in this defensive thing anymore. Yeah. Do you see what I mean? So what I always used to try to do was try to move and try to make people hit me. Yeah. And then they go from this to whatever position they're in where their arms are away from the body. the type of punching we can do, and if you fight in MMA, you can basically punch anywhere you want, essentially. So, and we, like you say, we did fight MMA, so we fought in MMA gloves, but we sparred in boxing gloves most of the time.
Okay.
And you just find that it's the timing of your punches and the feints and the misdirection that make you land punches rather than anything else. You know, so it doesn't really matter. Do you know what I mean? You're wearing gloves just so you don't cut the other person's head.
Yeah.
That's because, again, like we when we were first training, we were fighters and we were fighting, so you couldn't afford to get a cut.
Yeah, then
if
your
you
whole
get a
bout's
cut,
off.
then you can't fight. Yeah. So you'd have to put Vaseline on your face. You do sometimes put Vaseline on gloves as well, and so you won't get a cut. But anything else is effectively the same. Grappling is more difficult in gloves,
for sure,
than anything else. But I didn't really see a difference. I'd still throw the same shots. It didn't really make a difference. That's something else that people will say who haven't really done it. I think most people, like every MMA fighter, spars in boxing gloves. And they'll spar in little 4 ounces. They'll spar in puffier gloves. You know, like they're not saying, "Oh, my timing's coming out." You know, they don't, do they? It's people who don't do it who say things like that, I think.
Sure. And that's what I've quite liked about this weekend as well, is a lot of it with the sparring we've been doing with the big gloves. The shapes and things are still there, slightly different, but again, a lot of the focus of what you've had us doing is very much on the striking, and I still feel like I'm using all the same Wing Chun movements and body mechanics. But then when we were watching the footage back as well, you look at it and we were joking around about, you know, you put it up on a Wing Chun forum and everyone will say you're a fucking idiot.
Well, that's the thing. They're limited by what they know.
Sure.
That's the problem. It's like you don't decrease in value by someone else's lack of ability to see your value. You're still, you know, what you're doing is still valuable. Just they're blind, aren't they? They don't see it. That's their limitations, not yours. That's how I see it. Like I say, I just whatever. Go, you know. What I mean, they don't. The people that say things like that tend to be they're just negative people in general, I think, aren't they?
Right.
I think anything to progress, it adapts, it evolves, it mutates and stuff like that. That's how things progress. Like you look at someone like judo. I mean, apart from rule changes that make it a little bit less than what it was,
sure,
it's still the same rules now as it was when it started. More, you know, like in terms of they've taken throws out, you can't grab legs and stuff like that, but it's still really recognisable judo. That's judo. Karate, same. They haven't started, now we're going to start throwing hooks in karate. They don't really have hooks in karate. So it's still the same thing. Do you know what I mean? But all these things fight. So there is nuance, there is adaptability in those things, but they still look very much like karate.
Yeah.
Because we know what karate looks like when it's fighting. We don't know what Wing Chun likes when it's fighting, because they don't fight.
Yes. Yeah, there's not a lot of that.
So someone can say to you, that doesn't look right. And you go, well, you show me what you look like. Show me the yardstick of what I should look like. Like if we say, okay, let's look at a jab. Let's go on YouTube now and say, how to do a jab. You're going to have boom, boom, and they're all going to more or less say the same thing. Okay, let's do a jab in sparring. Boom. Show me a jab in a fight. Boom. We'd find all those things.
Yeah.
Type anything. Obviously, you're not going to find anything to do with Wing Chun that involves fighting. And if you are, it's going to be a Chu Sao Lee guy.
Probably, yeah.
So if anyone else has got out to say, unless they've got a video of them doing the same sort of things, in which I'll be all ears. But if they haven't, I'm not interested in their opinion, because they aren't doing all.
Do you think it's part of the training culture of it as well?
Yeah,
because
it's exactly that.
Yeah,
that's it.
It wasn't such a thing. I mean, you guys have really always pushed the boat in that way of like fight, put it to the test, be competitive, that kind of thing. Whereas a lot of places don't necessarily go that way anymore. It's more about preserving techniques and traditions, and this is how my Sifu says you do it, so this is how you do it.
That's valid. That's absolutely valid. If you want to study a martial art, and just the study of a martial art, And that's what you get. You get a lot of people, and they become aficionados of the pomp and ceremony behind the martial art. Like, oh, look, you need to sit outside of this dude on his chair and stuff like that, and or give him a red letter, or whatever. I don't know. I don't follow that stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like people say, oh yeah, but you did a Chinese martial art. I drink Italian coffee. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. It's just not how I think anyway. So I think taking the best things out of things is what we should be doing. And if people don't want to get fight and they don't want to get involved with that, that's fine. If they just want to, like they want to learn the forms, because the form's good for you. Like forms that you're going, a very good thing for you to do anyway. But if you don't then want to fight, and you don't want to, then you're not really in a position to tell someone else who is fighting that they're doing it wrong.
Right, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And also, if you're doing a martial art and you're not going to fight, you're a fucking Morris dancer.
There's surely there's an argument to be said though. Like sometimes you just enjoy it though.
Yeah, you can enjoy it.
It's just a hobby, isn't it?
Yeah,
but it's for 99% of people, I guess.
So that's what I mean. That's what Morris dancing is.
Yeah. Do you know what? You've got me on that, yeah. But I wonder how it kind of transitioned away from that, because it used to be with the Hong Kong days, it was always the whole thing with those BMO, rooftop fights.
I looked into it a little bit when I've been doing Wing Chun 20 odd years, so I did look into it, and there wasn't a lot on YouTube when I did. But any old fight you see is terrible. Yeah. I have yet to see someone good do a good fight in Wing Chun that wasn't a Chu Sao League guy. I know I sound like an absolute, but it's true. Please send me a video, send me a link. I want to see it. Yeah. But I don't know. I'll be happy if I do, but I haven't. Yeah, I saw those old fights. They look like people in an office. I've been throwing staplers at each other, don't they? Half the time. They've got shirts on. They don't look fit. They don't look healthy. They don't look like they've got 10 pencils
chin up.
Hands up. Does not look impressive to me in the slightest. No, not impressed by that at all.
Yeah, I was talking to Micey about that before as well, and we were saying there's some shocking representation. You can see why Wing Chun gets such a bad name in general.
Yeah. And the what were they called? There were two Wing Chun guys fought famously, and it was just more or less pulling each other's hair out on the floor.
Oh yes, I do know what you're talking about.
Whatever they were called, anyway. But that was just if that were it, two masters,
And that was the William Chung.
Probably.
I can't remember.
Two masters.
Yeah.
Wow, impressive. Do you know what I mean? He looked like a rank monster, so I dare say he could go hard. I think he probably was far more than a handful than anyone else I've ever heard of, but apparently he was massive.
Okay.
I ain't met him myself, but friends that have met him say he's a big guy and he could fair go. And they did train out. So I think those guys there, I think they were German, weren't they? They were probably tougher. I heard stories about them. They'd go to boxing gyms and say, okay, let's go and stuff like that. But I haven't seen any old videos of anyone back in the day sort of thing. Out like that. I dare say there were fights. You hear Bruce Lee stories about when he was a kid, he fought all the time.
Yeah.
But obviously no one had a camera phone back then.
No, that's part of the
thing.
Happen.
Yeah. Maybe it did. I don't know, but I don't know. That's it. I'm certainly not just going to sit here and believe an old guy.
Nod along.
You know what I mean? Just believe some old guy because he said it. It's not how today's world works.
Okay, and then so moving slightly away from Wing Chun, you obviously got a lot of experience there, but you've been doing Brazilian Jiu Jitsu alongside as well, and you've had a lot of success with that as well. I mean, primarily you're teaching BJJ now, aren't you?
Yeah, that's all I teach now. I don't really teach Wing Chun per se. I have friends that I train with and stuff like that, but we don't really. We do things like this weekend and stuff like that.
Yeah,
we do get-togethers, but to actually teach a class, We don't really have it. Again, it's mainly down to the perception of Wing Chun. If I advertise a Wing Chun class, the people that are going to turn up aren't going to like what happens.
Sure.
So I ran into that problem quite a bit. The preperception of what people are, they're going to want to. I don't know. They're going to want to not train physically hard and expect to be able to beat someone up.
Yeah, I remember we were having this conversation in Thailand actually, because you were talking about the idea of just forgetting the name Wing Chun and just going, we're doing Chinese boxing. Or
yeah. This thing we did we call close quarter sparring. Because Wing Chun it's a poison name. Because again, people are just going to want to. I don't know what they're going to want to do, but it won't be what we do. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Which again, it's kind of good and bad because I'm just teaching and I'm just showing what I got taught in Wing Chun classes.
Yeah.
So to me, in my reality, that's Wing Chun. Like if they've got a different reality of what they believe is, that's just something that we can't change, isn't it? Like I say, it's frustrating to try to teach people when they're, but when are we going to do this bit? And stuff like that.
I've seen my drills,
stuff like that. Drills are important. Everything's important, but once you can do something, then you shouldn't necessarily need to drill it anymore, unless it's something like I drill side to side drills in jiu-jitsu where you're passing from one side to the other because you do that all the time when you spar. So I don't know. I don't even see that as a drill. It's like if you think of a boxer that's doing shadow boxing, like that's standard, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that is a drill.
Yeah.
So there are drills have purpose.
Definitely.
But they're not shadow boxing going 1, 2, cross.
Yeah.
1. They're like moving, free form, and like they might move for 2 minutes before they've thrown a punch, because that's the important thing in fighting. It's not throwing a punch. Like any idiot can throw. If you can throw a ball a long way, you can punch out, right?
Right. Yeah.
It's nothing to do with being able to punch. It's being in the right place at the right time. If the person you're fighting is like, if you're there and I'm here, then I'm winning, right?
Definitely.
It doesn't matter how hard you can punch. If I'm here and I can punch pretty badly, but still, if I can keep getting myself here and keep hitting you, then you're going to have a problem. So the movement is far more important than the actual punching. So stood here for hours doing that has zero value.
Yeah, I suppose actually that's probably one of the big differences with Jiu Salé and a lot of the other lineages is there's a lot of focus on very minutiae, like technical things of like, right, you need to add this bit, and it's all working on like the power and positions and things like that without spending much time actually just applying these things. I mean, I'm sure it's a bit of a blanket statement. I'm sure there are plenty that do.
There will be. But...
Yeah. But more often than not, I think there's more of the like technical focus rather than like a live focus.
I think that's it. That's what I mean. They become studies where they're just studying the art. They're not practically applying the art or get into a position where they could practically apply the art. If someone came for the dinner money, they'd just be handing the phone over these guys. So and again, I'm not saying it's bad. I keep saying, that's fine, but you're a Morris dancer then. That's the difference. And people enjoy Morris dancing. There's no wrong with it. But you don't get a Morris dancer going to a Muay Thai going, nah, mate, you shouldn't be lifting your leg there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
How absurd is that, right?
Yeah.
So but that is the same situation than if someone else is just doing forms and stuff like that, then they're not really. It's like a Morris dancer telling a Muay Thai fighter that he's doing it wrong.
Yeah, you're just going through the motions, I suppose. And what actually made you get into Wing Chun of all things then?
I was going out a lot. I was a DJ and I used to go out a lot. And even if I wasn't DJing, I'd be going out a lot and I'm getting home late. My friend was doing praying mantis in Leeds, and he had to get up early to get there on a Sunday morning. So I started going with him just so I wouldn't go out on Saturday night. So I'd been going a few weeks, and I didn't like it because they kept doing this, and I was like, "What's that? Why are you doing that?" And they wouldn't tell me.
Right.
Like if they just said, "Oh, we do this because," then I'd have done it. But they were like, "I'm not telling you." And I thought, well, that's just silly. Then you just look silly doing that. That's just silly. Unless you're going to tell me why and then educate me, and then I'll go, oh, you're not silly. You're doing it because of this reason. I'm just stuck here thinking you look silly.
Right.
That's just how I am. Like you are. If I start doing this and you don't know why, you're going to think, what's this weirdo doing, aren't you?
Yeah.
You go, oh no, it's fighting. Is it? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, trust me.
Yeah. When you learn a bit more, you'll know. That's, So I was getting a bit anyway.
Okay.
But they were doing qigong, and I really enjoyed the qigong because it would just like open me with my head and stuff. But then one day this other person came, and they were doing this, and it looked good. It was close. It looked, and straight as you looked at that, everything I saw happening, I thought, oh well, yeah, that looks like
sense.
It's a fight.
Sure.
And then at some point they went boom like that, and they were in a boxing ring actually, and it made a big boom like that. I was impressed by a small person making that much noise. So I wanted to do Wing Chun then. I thought, oh, I'll try that. And my friend who did Mantis, he sorted it out where I could go to a different place, do Wing Chun. And that's where I met that Pedro guy. Did 2 years with him. Then went to that seminar with Alan, and here we are.
The rest is history.
The rest is history, as they say, yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. So it wasn't necessarily you were like seeking out Wing Chun
or
anything.
Care.
It just
if
happened
did,
to be, saw a demonstration of it.
Funnily enough, that were in Liam Harrison's gym. The Praying Mantis thing were in Bad Company Muay Thai gym. So I was that close to being a Muay Thai guy.
Yeah.
Because Muay Thai obviously looked ace. That looked too ace. That was too brutal because like they and I would just like DJ.
Yeah. Just here for a good time, man.
Yeah. Just stood breathing, qigong, thinking, oh, this isn't bad. So yeah, I could quite easily have gone that way. But yeah. Yeah, and that was my first insight into just absolute bullshitters. This guy, he was a Praying Mantis guy, and he had my mate believe that if he entered UFC, he'd just be taking names, and he was a fat plumber.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? He wouldn't have been. He'd be there in his, his shiny jacket with his things buttoned up front and that, playing around with his pole and whatnot. And fine, that's fine. Study the martial art, enjoy it, love it. That's great. But you're not don't let people think you could go in fucking UFC and win. That makes you a bullshitter. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing wrong with learning a martial art and just like being the Morris dance. That's fine. But just know that that's what you are. Don't pretend you're not that. Then that's no good, is it?
Yeah. And do you guys ever use much of the traditional stuff then in your training? Like, do you do all of the forms, all the weapons and things like that?
I do forms. I don't. You see that there? What's that there? Against wall. Behind that kettlebell.
Behind the kettlebell. No idea.
I'll show you.
Oh, I see. The long pole.
Yeah.
Can't believe I didn't notice that.
Yeah. Yeah, so I do, yeah.
Okay.
I use pole.
And do you still actively practice all of that?
Yeah, I use pole. I use, I don't know if you saw knives in there.
Yeah, I did.
I have trifibular, something or other. I've had cartilage problems in my knees. I've had a couple of knee operations. And you have the same sort of cartilage here. And I think I was given cottage cheese instead of cartilage because I have it bad there. So I use the knives to keep my wrist strong.
Strengthen that.
Yeah, to keep my wrist strong. So I do knives, do pole. Form, probably only do first form. I don't really bother with any other forms.
Okay.
And I'll do that. I don't do it every day, 3 times a week, something like that. Yeah, I don't do anything else. I don't do like any of them things like that. And then when I wrestle, no gi, grappling, whatever you want to call it, like you say, collar ties, everything like that.
That's your active practice.
Yeah, that's chi sao to me. What we termed, or what my guys who I train with, we call it full body chi sao. So you'll start from stud. And then if it goes down, and you just fight for 5 minutes and then stop, and then get your other partner. Like you do in jiu-jitsu, you just have a roll for 5 minutes. So we do that, but we do it with punching and stuff like that as well. Cause that's the truest thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
If someone like when you were doing stuff and you were sparring, you try to get close to someone, you saw how hard it is. It's not easy to get close to someone. If someone's taller than you, it's almost they're just doing this. Very difficult for you to get close to them.
Yeah.
You have to apply a lot of skills just on that. They're just here sticking this arm out.
Yeah.
It's difficult. So yeah, so the in terms of other traditional things, I don't really do too much else. Just the qigong form, not qigong, sorry, the Sudim Tao form.
Sure.
As like a qigong thing.
Right.
You know, I very much focus on my breathing when I'm doing it, and a lot of time I only do first section, to be honest.
Okay.
I'll do it for and the this, I don't know what section that is, but whatever that is where you push it down. It's probably not called that either, but that's how I think of it. Yeah. So I do that, but not so much else. I never hit pads anymore because I've got a bad wrist, bad shoulders, and stuff like that. I don't punch stuff hardly ever nowadays. I just kind of grapple. I find it. It's weird. I can't run 10 yards, but I can grapple.
Yeah, keep going all day.
Yeah. Grappling's, or I don't know. It's obviously intensive, but it's kind of not as well.
Yeah,
weird, isn't it? Like people can stop playing football because they're too injured to play football, and then start doing MMA.
Yeah.
Because if you torn your hamstring or whatever, what is it, tendon, Achilles, you can't play football anymore. But obviously, you can still fight and do everything else.
Yeah, you'll be fine.
Yeah. Good times. Yeah, good times.
And so then that kind of moves on quite nicely to the grappling side of things for you. So you've done Brazilian Jiu Jitsu for how long? The same
20, yeah. I did them all at more or less at the same time. It's probably about 20 years. Been a black belt 10 years.
Awesome.
Been a black belt 10 years. One British, two times.
That's what I was going to say. I saw you got an impressive display of medals and things in the other room.
Not all mine, all
no, the team, but
got one British Masters, black belt British Masters, I don't know, a couple of years ago, something like that. Pre-COVID, just before COVID, might have been a year before COVID, something like that. Anyway, I try to keep active in jiu-jitsu. It's you can do jiu-jitsu when you're 70. That's the thing. If someone says, "Oh, I'm doing kickboxing," and they're over 30, they're actually hitting pads.
Sure.
Do you know what I mean? They won't actually be doing kickboxing. Same boxing.
Yeah.
Most people that if it involves getting hit in the head after much past 35, they won't be doing it that much. I don't think they'll be doing like kickboxing and stuff. Kickboxing, boxercise, that style of thing. Whereas jiu-jitsu, you can be doing jiu-jitsu.
Hardcore.
Yeah. It's exactly the same as you always did. It's just slower.
Slower,
less and less movement based probably, but yeah. Jiu-jitsu. I think jiu-jitsu is the ultimate martial art. Like people can argue all they want, but when it were one martial art versus another, jiu-jitsu won every time.
I smashed people.
Yeah. Until other people started doing things that would circumvent jiu-jitsu won every time, and that there is no argument. It's there. You can just watch UFC 1, 2, 3. And just track the history of people doing jiu-jitsu to stop jiu-jitsu winning. To the point where now, there's virtually no jiu-jitsu in MMA anymore.
Yeah.
It's been circumvented to the point
where
it's
become its own thing now.
It's just not there. MMA is MMA.
Yeah.
You do it like triangles. When the last time you saw a triangle in MMA? You never see it nowadays. If any, what is it? Rear naked chokes, guillotines.
Yeah.
That's basically all you'll see. I think I don't really
the
watch
MMA.
Yeah. I don't really watch MMA these days. I just watch jiu-jitsu now. And again, because it's growing. It used to be that when I was first watching MMA, there were only a match on or an event 4 times a year or something like that. So
now it's every weekend.
It's like whatever, 10 different things. But there's that much jiu-jitsu on, like with YouTube and everything else. You can I just watch jiu-jitsu, various different things, like on various different things on different nights. But there's different events all over the world.
There's loads. Yeah.
Flow Grappling YouTube channel is a good channel. Even if you don't have Flow Grappling, there can be an event on the day after.
They put them up right away. I love that.
Yeah. So for content, there's a lot of jiu-jitsu. It's easy to follow. That's all I really follow nowadays. I watch MMA if it's a big match. And like the boxing match on last night, I watched it.
Yeah.
Who were it? Ngannou
Ngannou and Tyson Fury.
Did you watch it?
I watched it this morning.
Who won?
Yeah. You want me to spoil that?
No. I know who officially won. I just want to know who you think won.
Oh, I don't know. It was tough. I think it probably was Tyson Fury, but
it was much more competitive than I expected. Than I think anyone expected. The commentators were losing their minds through the whole thing.
But last night,
apart from you, I'll give you that.
Apart from me, yeah, I knew that everything Francis Ngannou it suffers badly. So I knew if he hit him, that was going to be that. And when we were doing the training the day before, we were saying once that hard shots come in, then the other guy acts differently. And sure enough, that played out. You were saying earlier, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Interesting.
It's cool. You need to start putting money on this. You don't even follow them, and you've got them down to a T.
No, it's just I've been there, and someone's throwing an jab, and then I thought, you need to be careful of that. It's not. There's no great insight, honestly. And it's not that. Just bitter experience, I think.
Did you enjoy your time competing, like the striking stuff?
Loved it
very much.
Yeah, I loved it. I get. If I'm on a student, like sometimes I'll be on at some of my guys, and I'm saying, you need to do this, you need to do that. Because I can't. I can't fight MMA. If I could fight MMA, I'd be fighting probably MMA now. But I'm too old. So there's only jiu-jitsu I can do competitively.
Yeah.
So that's probably a big reason why I'm doing jiu-jitsu. Yeah. So being old's no good, is it? But I loved it. I didn't see the point in pursuing it. Like, would you like dribble ball around, but then never want to play football?
Yeah.
I don't understand that. You know what I mean? What are you if you're doing that?
Yeah.
Morris dance. No, but you
That's
know what I mean?
your go-to now, yeah.
No. It will be. I'm going to use that all the time. No, but no one does that, do they? You don't just do that thing where you're just going through cones with ball and then go, all right,
just
nice one, lads. I'll see you next week. Or you don't get to where you're king of putting ball through cones. Football, you just want to play football, right? I wonder, is there anything where they don't actually do the thing that they're training to do? What was it? Like swimmers, they just stood there at side without getting wet. What other thing is there? It's weird, isn't it? Strange. The more you sort of try and quantify it like that, there's just no other thing like it. It's just so bizarre.
I guess it is weird when you look at it with them
finger waggers. Ooh.
But have you got any more jiu-jitsu competitions coming up then at the moment that you're training for or anything? You're just mainly teaching?
I am mainly teaching. I did Euros a couple of years ago. Hard to say now. You lose track because of the world apocalypse we had over the year. 20. We're after apocalypse, so it must have been 22. 22, I did Euros. I managed to silver in Euros.
Awesome.
But then it hurt a lot. Not just losing, but I broke my toe and hurt my foot quite a bit. So I thought I'd be all right a few weeks later, but like 4 months later, I still couldn't walking properly and stuff like that. And then a few other things happened that just sort of took my mind off everything, really. And then I've just got back to about now. And so now I'm in a position, whatever year it is now, 2023, where I might start competing again.
Right.
So like there were a thing in Portugal last week, actually, or the entry ended yesterday that I didn't enter, but there's a competition in France, then Dublin, and then France again. So France again that's the Euros in January.
Oh, okay.
February or January. So if I can get to France and Dublin and get a couple of matches in, I might do Euros again.
Awesome.
But we've got a new coach now, so that's a big thing for me. I hadn't really had a coach per se since Alan moved to New Zealand.
Right.
Leo lives in London, and I live here. So I see him.
He's quite near me, I think, actually, isn't he? He's Kingston based.
Kingston,
yeah. It's not far from me.
So I can go there, spend a day, spend a couple of days. He comes here, spends a day and stuff like that. But it's not the same as someone there every week.
Just regularly.
Yeah. So now we've got Rogério Alves over, world champion, just different level.
You say sounds like a killer.
Very, very good. Oh yeah, very, very good. So he's here now. So I've actually got a coach. So I feel, they said if ever there were a time to compete, even though I am a little bit banged up, I should still try to compete because
give
I've
it a
got
crack.
a coach. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. So that's my plan. I'm probably going to look for Euros in a couple of months, 2 months or something, whatever it is. Probably try to do that. We've started training a little bit towards it. But at the older side of things, you have to you can't just go full kamikaze
You got to
training
be clever
because
about
you'll just
it.
hurt yourself.
Yeah.
You're going to. I did that in, I don't know whenever it was, before lockdown when I did Euros there. I arrived at Euros just banged up, my shoulder hurt, everything, and I couldn't really do it.
You want to be feeling your best for a competition like
really,
that.
yeah. So the amount of sparring and stuff like that you do goes down, and the amount of sort of drilling goes up. If you're drilling in drilling specific things, so it is like sparring, specific sparring drills. I mean, not just passing guard and stuff like that.
Right.
So you tend to be drill focused like that because it's more controlled. Like you usually get hurt when something crazy is happening.
You don't expect.
Like you're desperately trying to do something erratic. That's usually when things will go. So if you can, circumvent that and not do it as much up until it's competition time, and then just go break your feet in competition.
You'll be all right after. At least you get a shiny medal.
That's it. Yeah. And you get the impressive medical staff at these events that they have. They just they got an ice pack and sellotaped it to my foot. Literally.
Great.
Yeah.
Good as new. Off you pop.
Sellotaped this ice pack to my foot. Nice one. Cheers. Cheers, mate. But yeah, good times.
Do you get a lot of hard rolls and stuff training here? Because obviously you're the head coach here. You've obviously now got this other guy that's come in. Do you have a lot of other black belts and things training here? And
we've got 4.
I suppose if you've been teaching 10 years, you've done that. Yeah.
1, 2, 3, about 5, 6 black belts.
Right.
I should know that, shouldn't I? These are things that you should know, aren't they? I'm going to say there's about 5 or 6 black belts. I can't just think off the top of my head, but here, day to day, there's 3.
Okay.
4 now. One of them's one of them's a world champion, so yeah,
that's pretty nice.
Pretty tough roles, yeah. I mean, now I'm old now, so my black belts, my brown belts, and even some of my purple belts put me in fits. There's realities to being older and stuff like that, and people learn faster now. I think it's not going to be long before the average black belt is 5 years. I don't think that's going to be long. It seems to be where people, like, you get 19-year-olds now and they're winning everything.
Yeah.
I mean, they might have 10 years of jiu-jitsu in them as well. So it's not that they haven't put the time in, but it just seems like people are getting young. Like, if you look at an ADCC from a few years ago, everyone was 30. Yeah. And now everyone's 17.
Yeah.
So, you've got that 17 and that where 30-year-old's dragging his ass out there.
Yeah.
To get some. I mean, this 17-year-old kid just won trials in America, ADCC trials. He don't even do that much jiu-jitsu. He's just a wrestler. He's just a wrestler. He's obviously a very good wrestler.
Yeah.
But he beat Ethan Crolliston. He beat Johnny Rippo. Wow. Just really good, really good guys, and he beat them. So it's not that like I'm saying, you're just a wrestler. I don't mean that in a disparaging way.
But you're in a jiu-jitsu competition.
Yeah. It's interesting how that's changed. Grappling's changed over the time. It's mutated, not like Wing Chun has, but it's mutated to the point of where the no-gi side of things and the submission grappling's far more sort of famous than the gi.
Hugely.
I think so, yeah. All the big shows are all just spandex now, aren't they?
Yeah.
It's fine. There's more to go on. It seems to be, as it were coming out, there's consensus where if you're wearing a gi, it's going to be boring because they're going to just hold your lapels and stuff like that. And if they're not doing no-gi, they're going to like footlock, and that's going to be exciting and stuff like that. Yeah. But obviously the reality is it's just they're both just as boring or as exciting as each other.
There's some wild shit with the gi. Yeah, that's the thing. It's just about
depends who's fighting, doesn't it? If two boring guys are fighting, it's going to be boring.
Yeah.
Imagine that. I think jiu-jitsu is the main martial art that's going to be bigger and bigger and bigger over time. I think karate is always going to be big, but the others are, I think, I don't know, they won't phase out, but they'll become less and less and less and less prominent, I think.
For sure, yeah. I mean, it always happens though. Like the same with the karate. I wasn't really around for it, but it blew up after like the Karate Kid and all of this stuff, and suddenly that's everywhere. All these other arts get lesser and lesser, and then the next big thing comes along, like Brazilian Jiu Jitsu with the UFC. That's when that blew up and still climbing. Now that like you say, the no-gi, the submission grappling side of things is picking up more. People are coming in specifically to train that. Like there are people now starting that don't give a shit about any gi grappling. They just want to go and do submission grappling stuff.
Yeah, that is just more and more and more common. More and more common. It might even be that people doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in the gi end up in village halls.
Yeah.
Like where karate guys are now and stuff like that. It might go that way. It's just interesting, isn't it? It's an interesting thing. Certainly, the people who were winning worlds a few years ago, they still love the gi. But like you said, the new generation, these 19-year-olds that are winning now, never wore the gi.
No, yeah.
And they're never gonna. So like it could be that the people that are like purple belts now with me on brown, they might be the last guard. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The last wave of the gi wearers.
And you're more of a gi guy, aren't you?
Just because I've had 4 knee operations and I don't want people ripping my knees off.
Yep, fair enough.
And yeah, I like the gi. I don't believe one's more technical than the other.
No.
For it, you can do like I can take your lapel, I can pass it through your legs, and I can do a lot of things with the lapel. I can collar choke you, but you can't do them no-gi. But the way you can grab my foot, the way you can crank my neck, and the way there's just as much no-gi as there is in.
It's just different options. That's the thing, isn't it?
Yeah. I wouldn't say. It used to be that when I did everything, if I were kickboxing, that was my favourite. And then we'd finish kickboxing class, go grappling, that was my favourite. Day after, there'd be a gi class, that was my favourite. Whatever I was doing at the time, that was my favourite.
Yeah, I'm a bit that way. I'll sell out whatever.
Whatever it is. I couldn't if they say, right, we're going to grapple halfway through kickboxing class, sound. I wouldn't care. I just liked it. So yeah, I was quite lucky like that. But I just can't kickbox anymore. Because I've got my shoulder, got a lot of things wrong with me, so I can't do that anymore. So it's just boiled down to I can do jiu-jitsu and I can do Wing Chun.
Yeah.
So they're the ones that I'm doing. And certainly with Wing Chun, it's mainly just, like I said, if it's a glove-based thing, mostly Aaron will take that because that kind of his thing. More sort of hands-on, it'd be more me. That's how we've done things before as well. Aaron's a purple belt, good grappler.
He is. Yeah. Was he grappling under Alan as well when he first started?
Yeah. How it worked, when Alan would do he used to do these summer camp, he'd do a summer camp, winter camp, and there'd be like 30 guys there or whatever.
Sure.
And just naturally, what happens is people at a certain level would be there, people at a certain level would be there, and da-da-da-da. So I started obviously at bottom of the room because I didn't know anyone first day or whatever. And then over time, over years, you end up working your way up the room, don't you? And Aaron and all them, they were already, like I said, they were already pro MMA fighters. So as I got there, they were pro MMA fighters. So they were all good grapplers. They were all good at everything. They were all stand up. They didn't actually volunteer to go to the ground.
Because that's not where the Wing Chun is.
Neil had his lance out. Boom! If someone double legged him, he'd just lance out him inside at neck, boom, like that as they were doing a sprawl.
Nice.
Yeah, not for the other guy. But yeah, like a metal bar landing on you. But yeah. So they were all ready grapplers. But what happened was, it's always what happens. They got injured. So then some drift off. So then over time you get I became higher and higher up in the group, as you will. Aaron were always there. He's still there now, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's rock solid, that guy. So he's been someone I look up to all the time because he was there then, he's there now. So that's why I like getting him up and stuff. Always good to learn off him and stuff.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, in terms of grapplers, he were, like I say, we're already well up and running when I got there. I just rode in with them. All the groundwork were done. It was just easy for me to sort of carry on with what they were doing. Anytime I needed any help, if I asked Alan, he'll help you with all that.
Yeah, he's great.
So he was quite lucky. And then more or less as soon as I got into jiu-jitsu, it were at a time when MMA were just booming, just really, really starting. I think we were about UFC 40 or something like that at the time when I started. And so because I knew some jiu-jitsu, I was like the one-eyed man in the land of the blind. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like I wasn't any good, but I was better than anyone else.
Sure.
At that time, anyway.
Yeah.
It was funny. See, in them days, you'd go and then a judo guy would come or a karate or whatever, traditional guy, and he'd say, "I've seen MMA. Yeah, it's just judo, innit?" Karate guy would think it was just karate.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they'd all think no one's ever taken me down. But they'd be getting their own students to try.
Yeah, who haven't been trained like that. Yeah.
Who's taught them you taught them a takedown, you don't know how to do, and then they can't do it to you. That doesn't make you good at takedown defense, does it? Come on now. You should be doing Wing Chun with that mindset.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Come on now. So yeah, that was quite funny. They'd come and I've been doing judo 20 years. And stuff, you know, and obviously they were good at some stuff, but because other things were happening, they were quite easily circumvented. Mostly with jiu-jitsu, where they knowing it in say 2008, it really was. It was like a superpower, because if you went on floor, it was almost a guarantee the other person didn't know. So it was pretty easy. It made it far easier than it'd be today.
Yeah, well that's the thing.
Everyone knows
Yeah.
grappling now, don't they? Or more people than then. That's for sure.
Yeah, because I suppose it's interesting to think when you go with someone that hasn't done any ground fighting, and I'm not particularly good at BJJ, but if you train with someone that's they've only done it a month or whatever, you're like, oh my god, this is ridiculously easy, and you can see how it would give you that element of when it's such an unknown at that time. You can see how that would make such a big difference.
Yeah. People just want to squeeze your head.
Yeah.
Grab your head and squeeze it.
Yeah, just grab onto something.
Grab this and hold it tight.
Yeah.
That's what they want to do. That's kind of his instinct, isn't it? So yeah, that's what they did, and that's funny to see this poised, whatever this guy. Put him on floor.
Yeah.
This is what I say to people: if you can make someone off balance, that's that. Like, you've won. They go from, it could be a world champion in anything you care to mention, but as soon as they're off balance, they're just some fool falling over. No one looks cool falling over, do they? No one's falling.
Not quite.
They're just scrambling like that. So
Yeah,
as soon as
desperate.
you take someone's balance, determining whatever they were good at just goes out the window, and they're just some fool trying to find the balance.
And I guess that's where the Wing Chun comes in quite well, because it's all very much with the stand-up side of things. It's affecting people's balance and being able to control them and open these opportunities.
Exactly that. And like I say, I like to come, get close, put them down. That's that. What they're going to say? Bro, you sat on the floor.
Yeah. And let's be honest, with your jiu-jitsu black belt as well, if they want to keep going, you'll be all right.
Yeah, I'll probably manage. Yeah. But I don't know. If you can grab someone, put them on the floor, to me that's just so definitive. Like, you could run up, punch them, knock them out. You could say that's definitive too. Obviously, of course it is. I don't know. But if two people, like if someone comes out, like when McGregor fought Aldo, I didn't like that, because he just came out, knocked him out, and that was that. So we don't know what would happen if they had a fight.
Yeah, there's no
skill
there.
They didn't have a fight.
Yeah.
He knocked him out. And fair play, well done. Congrats,
clean.
Well done, beautiful, well done, sir. But like, I want to know what would happen if they'd have a fight. So like, I'd like bring him round, and then
splash of water on his face.
Like,
give him a minute.
Like at dodgy MMA shows, they'd have the same guy coming out.
Yeah.
get knocked out. 20 minutes later, he comes out, gets knocked out again.
Well, I think they do that with. Have you seen Lethway?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they have that. There's a rule set in that where, like, if a fighter's knocked out, they've got a certain amount of time. The corner's got to revive them and wake them up, and then off you go again. Yeah. It's fucking insane.
Yeah, no, it's too hard. There comes a point where it's all a bit too much.
Oh yeah, I think that's a pretty far extreme.
That one, that tomahawk elbow they do in Muay Thai. Disastrous. That.
Yeah, that's no fun.
Yeah.
You don't want them.
Zach Clipper, what's it called? Jonathan Agate, where he comes in knee and then boom.
Yeah, straight down the middle.
Come on now. Oh.
Well, there was recently a Muay Thai fight. Do you ever follow One Championship at all?
Yeah. I like it. Yeah.
So there was recently, they had a Muay Thai super fight. who was it? Rod Tang and Superlek.
Oh yeah, I saw
And
that.
they had elbows.
fight.
He opened them up. Beautiful.
Good fight. Yeah. I liked it.
Yeah, it was a great fight. That one.
I don't know why I think I like ONE FC more than I like UFC.
I think so.
Yeah, in fact, that is true. That's definitely true.
Well, I like they've just got the range of martial arts. As someone that likes to practice a lot of different things, I like that on one card you've got MMA, you've got submission grappling, you've got Muay Thai, you've got kickboxing, and you can watch a little bit of different rule sets and different styles and stuff.
Yeah,
I think that'll get much bigger in the future.
Maybe, yeah. I like it. I like it. And there's yet another form of grappling. It's like you can be no-gi. Like this few years ago, I said that there were 3 types of grappling. You could be like a gi guy, you could be a no-gi guy. It's like one's going to do maybe lapels, one's going to do feet and neck cranks. So it separates them. And then you might be an MMA fighter doing grappling as well. So they were the three sort of versions of grappling you could do. But now you have grappling shows in a cage.
Yes.
So when ONE FC have things, like you saw Daniel Kelly just fought Jessica Khan.
Yeah, saw that.
And I think if they were on a mat, that would have been a lot different.
Sure.
A big part of Daniel Kelly's strategy was just push
straight
you
up against the cage the whole time,
which I don't know how much practice Jessica Khan's done against that, but that were obviously a big part of the strategy, wasn't it? And it worked. So that again, like no one doing jiu-jitsu is like getting pushed. Okay, what do you do when they push you against? You know what I mean?
Yeah, well that's the thing. Yeah.
So that's probably another skill set that a grappler would have to get, just in case of because you might have to fight in a cage. First consideration is always terrain, if they're out of war and all that.
Yeah.
It says first consideration is your terrain. So if you're doing it on an open mat or if you're doing it in a cage, big difference.
Yeah, absolutely. Big difference. Well, especially people use it like when there is an open mat, they just run off they'll run out of bounds so that it gets reset and they don't lose positions and things all the time. Grappling, don't they? There's a strategy to it. Same with the cage. You pin someone up against the cage and things like that. Yeah.
Pete Irwin always, if he put you against fence, it was just the same as if you were on the bottom side control.
Right, that's interesting.
Yeah, so if you laid on the floor, the other guy's laid on top. He's pushing his weight into you. If you're against the fence and the other guy's just driving all his weight into you, but the other way sort of dangling onto one side of you as well, it was just absolute grim experience. Yeah, head under there, see your teeth are grinding, just whatever. Let me just do grappling. Sack MMA off. But yeah. So what Pete used to do a lot, where he'd put someone against the fence. Because in open mat grappling, if he was with a wrestler, the wrestler would kill him. Right. If you pin the wrestler against the fence, then the wrestler didn't get a chance to do
it changes so much.
And likewise, like I said earlier, Randy Couture was a wrestler that also employed that same strategy because he wanted the person. Do you know what I mean? So the environment of the cage makes a huge, can make a huge difference. Win or lose fights, we just, just can, Randy Couture. There's examples of that right there. Like if they had an MMA fight and it was like a room this shit, again, that you'd probably get different champions. Mark Kerr, there was that Mark Kerr guy. When you could headbutt, he never lost a fight. When they took headbutts out, and he didn't win a fight.
Right.
You've seen that video of Smashing Machine? His film Smashing Machine?
No, I think so. No.
Worth watching. Yeah. He were in Pride, and again, like I say, he'd never lost. And then they changed the rule where you couldn't knee in head. Never won.
Yeah.
I'm not saying never won. He didn't win as often.
But yeah, he's not so dominant, I guess.
Yeah, that were a big thing. And he used to headbutt as well. That's why they call him Smashing Machine. Just get to mountains. Bang, bang, bang.
Yeah,
like
it's
that.
such a weapon.
That guy was such a savage, right?
Yeah.
So like when you took headbutts and knees to head out, he was useless. He was obviously one,
Yeah.
I say useless, but yeah, funny. You are some sort of savage if they...
Yeah, that's your game plan. I'm just gonna get in there. I'm gonna headbutt the shit out of him.
Interesting guy, right?
Works. I guess that's why the rule set changes from different sports and different matches and things are so interesting because they do change things so much.
Huge.
Like you have to adapt to whatever you're doing.
Yeah.
Again, going back to what we were talking about, big gloves versus little gloves for MMA and things like that. It just changes everything. And then if you've trained one way and then you learn suddenly the rule change. Judo, in fact, what you were saying where they changed it, no leg grabs and things. I can't remember the guy's name, but there was someone that was really prolific before that rule change, because he used to be able to just grab people's legs and dump them all the time, and then they got rid of it, and then suddenly he was on such a downward spiral because his game no longer was the same.
Yeah, it's exactly that. Yeah, exactly that. It's a huge factor. Every time you put a new rule in, it changes everything.
Yeah, you've got to relearn so much.
Yeah, they've made rules in the AJP where they don't have advantages anymore. They have one rule. Like in jiu-jitsu, they'll offer an advantage. If I train somebody here and you have to, really fight out of it, I might get advantage for that. Whereas in the other events, the AJP now, if I say put knee on belly just for a second, I get my point for that. Or, near score would be a point now. And also they have golden rule. Like they used to say, people stall. And they do. The worst. Definitely. The EBI rules is the worst rule set in the world. If ever there were a rule book created for stalling, it's that. Like the people blatantly avoid grappling each other for full fight.
Just to get to
the
whole chance match, to be on the back.
Yeah, the whole match is spent not grappling, just so they can do just so you can start from a position your jiu-jitsu skills do not allow you to get to. That's bullshit.
Yeah, that's one of those things that backfired a bit.
Yeah,
the idea behind doing the rule set, I like. It makes it interesting because people will fight, and then if there's no winner, there's always a submission. But it blew back.
Yeah, the argument that the submission is everything is not true. I don't think that the submission is everything. I think that's what a few people said, and then all tourist students sort of started repeating it, and so that's where we're at now. But in, like a game of football, like what is it like the guy going from 6 yards, or were it the guy that ran around 30 people, kicked the ball over, guy got it on his chest, did he there? What was it? Were it the goal or were it the football?
Yeah.
Jiu-jitsu is the thing that happens before the submission, squeezing someone's neck. Who can't do that? Do you know what I mean? That's back to throwing the ball and being able to punch. The skill is to get there. And if you can't get there, you shouldn't have the prize. I mean, it's just stupid. Really, really stupid. I saw one, and they had a thing called where if they were staying up too long, they had a thing called a get down, where they forced them to go onto the floor and one person would sing. And then as soon as they started clock, they both just stood up again.
Straight up, yeah.
What am I watching?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was bad. I don't know. I don't watch the bit. If they're doing EBI rules, I watch the match. But then if it goes to, I don't even watch that bit because that's irrelevant to me because it's not. It doesn't mean you won that guy. You are not better at grappling than that guy. If me and you grapple, you pass my guard, you put your knee on my belly, you like take mount, you get 10 positions, and I don't do anything at all. And then we do something and I get to choke you because I start on my back. How the fuck am I better than you?
Yeah.
How the fuck am I better than you? That's stupid, in my opinion.
So you like the classic IBJJF rules?
I think I like points.
Yeah.
I like fucking points.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, I love points. Because it's obvious. We know what's happening. Like you can watch a grappling match now and they're going, who's won? And like, no one in room knows.
Yeah.
No one in room knows. How the fuck is that? How can we not know? Yeah. Like they do ever more stupid things to avoid having points. Like in Polaris, you watch Polaris and you hear a commentator and they'll go, that'll score highly on the judges' score. What is the unit of measure?
Yeah, because they do three rounds, don't they?
And they have a judges' score
but it's
card,
at each time, at like every 3 minutes or whatever it is.
Every 5 minutes. So you've got a judges' scorecard, right? What is the unit of measure on a scorecard referred to? It's a fucking point.
Yeah.
So then they're going, it's sub only. What are they doing? What are they doing? Drawing an apple on scorecard. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? They're writing. It's a points-based thing.
Yeah.
And then they've got what's that one in America? Who's number one in America? Where they shine a red light.
Oh yeah.
But then it doesn't even mean he's winning. They go, we'll shine this, but it doesn't mean he's winning. What the fuck did you shine it for then? What was the point of that?
Yeah.
You know what you could do is like 1FC. They've got the best. If you put me in a submission, he puts his hand up and goes, catch.
Yeah.
Everyone in the room knows that you're going to win now because he's just said that.
Yeah.
That's the best.
Now you got to do something about that.
And again, if you're rewarded for aggression in that. You have to be aggressive. If they've got a catch and you don't get one, you're going to lose. And everyone knows. There's been no red light shining. There's no, we favour this today.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
It's like, you're 1-0 up.
Very true. Very, very clear. Obviously, if nobody's caught anyone's leg, then that's going to be a little bit harder to see again. But for me, if someone just clearly going, boom.
Yeah,
can't
beat it.
That is the best.
Old school, simple,
I mean,
does the trick.
What sport doesn't have points?
Yeah. I guess they just want to try and encourage moving to like make them more exciting, to make them more spectator sport. That's the thing, isn't it?
That is what everyone's doing, but I feel they're doing it in like I said, a few people said it's because it's gay, it's because it's points. That guy's boring. And then tourist students just repeated it. Yes, my teacher said this, so that must be true. I once said to a guy once telling me something, and I said, "Well, did you see it match?" And I thought we were talking more, and I said, "Did you see it match?" And he hadn't.
Just doubling down.
Just hadn't even watched what he was on about, and I don't know. Like I said, just tourists. They act like tourists, don't they? Just go wherever they're told to go, and like that, say what they're supposed to say, that kind of thing. Interesting.
Fair enough. And so then getting on to a slightly different topic anyway. Your place, Aire Valley. First of all, very cool joint. I'm very impressed with that. I like it.
Okay.
Definitely come back up here. How long have you been open here then?
In this here,
I know you've moved here a couple of times.
Yeah. So here we were 2017. We came here. Before that, we were in a different building, other side of town. So I started small. I had 16 mats when I started, 16 1 meter mats. And then I was hiring a back room of a taekwondo gym, and then the 16 mats got more. Then I ended up a small area of the place where parents made cups of tea while kids were doing taekwondo. So then it ended up where I took the whole area, and then we sort of shared a floor on the ground floor, and then it just got time where I needed to move again, so we moved here. But we didn't have this room; we just had the other room.
Oh, okay.
So then got this room, and then after a bit we got the other rooms that we were showing you up there.
Yeah.
So it just gets
gradually going and going,
getting bigger and bigger, as things go. But I don't want to get any bigger than what we are now. It comes a point where you're not doing what you wanted to do. Like I just wanted somewhere to train with my friends.
Right.
So
all got out of hand.
Essentially, yeah. I mean, you, it's nice, isn't it? You like it. You think, oh, this is great. Gym's getting busy and one thing and another. But certainly, just after lockdown, it went mental. We had 200 members.
All right.
And there were just too many people, and it wasn't cool. I didn't know them. They didn't know me, and I didn't know anyone. No one knew where they were going. Because we suddenly grew to that many, but our infrastructure and our staffing levels didn't. So we were just completely overrun all of a sudden. So I didn't enjoy that at all. So then things leveled out. So we've got less students now. I think about 150 or something now. But that's easy. That's sort of manageable and easier. You know everyone and stuff like that. Because otherwise it's just like a corporate venture that you're not really. I don't know. You're like, oh, I'm the manager of a gym, but again, I wanted somewhere to train with my friends. Yeah. So being a manager of a gym didn't really.
No,
I'm not
that's
aspiring
the thing.
to be a manager of a gym. It did turn. I was joking that my martial art journey had led me to be a full-time receptionist, where I was just behind there, just like.
Yeah.
Like if you start selling T-shirts, then you're selling boxing gloves, and you're just doing that all the time. So it was nice to sort of back away a bit, come down a little bit, have less numbers, focus only on jiu-jitsu myself. Like I have other coaches doing other things now.
Yeah, because you do kickboxing and stuff here as well, don't you?
Kickboxing, MMA, jiu-jitsu. I only do the jiu-jitsu. Although Rogerio is going to be doing the jiu-jitsu now. I teach the basics, teach the kids, teach daytime classes. Rogerio is doing all the,
like the evening adult
competition
classes.
class and evening class, all advanced stuff. But it's going well. It's going good. Yeah, going good. I think we're going to go to Euros this year. Like I said, I think so.
Awesome.
We'll just see. We'll just have to see.
I hope so.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Keep batting on, blowing but still going.
Yeah. Saw that up on the wall. I like that.
Yeah, blowing but still going.
I'm pinching that for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. Just don't stop. Just don't stop. Once you stop, you die. Just don't stop, bro. That's the way.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for your time, Duane. I appreciate it. It's getting on now. But yeah, awesome weekend. Awesome conversation. I'm very grateful.
Brilliant.
Pleasure to see you again, mate.
Thanks, mate.
Cheers.
Thank you very much for listening to another episode. I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. Please go and support Duane. Follow his Instagram, his Facebook, and support Aire Valley Martial Arts. I've put all of the links in the description for you. Super interesting guy. Hope it was enjoyable for everyone. Please tune into the next one. And don't forget to support the podcast. Like us on Spotify, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Share this with another martial artist, and I'll see you in the next one.